Okay.
Alrighty. Can you tell me a brief description of what you and your company do to help people find jobs?
We are a staffing agency, so we do everything from temporary positions to evaluation to hire positions to direct hire positions, and which is client recruitment. And right now we have about 500 people working for us for about 50 different employers. We staff in Albany, Lebanon, and Corvallis, and so basically when people come in and apply with Express, we don't have a job that we can send them out for right away, and they have great skills. Sometimes we'll try to network their resumes to other local employers too.
Very cool. During your recruiting process, how important is it to have a cover letter and a resume?
I think it's very important because it's a representation of yourself and your skills, and it's the only way that you really have to communicate to the employer that you're the right fit or you're the right person for the job, if that's how they're requesting that you apply. And an employer might be receiving a really high volume of resumes and cover letters. So how you represent yourself with that is really important in order to get the next step, the interview.
Absolutely. Can you describe the difference between a well-written resume versus a poorly written resume?
To me, I think a well-written resume is, because I use so many resumes today, a well-written resume is one that's clear, has a clear objective that applies to the job that they're applying for, and that also really clearly communicates their skills in relation to that job or why they would be applying. So I like to see bullets in the resumes that I view with their skills listed, just because it kind of shows you right off the bat. And when you're receiving 100 resumes for a job and you want to really look at the candidates that have the skills that meet the qualifications for what they're applying for. So being able to get that point across to the person who's viewing your resume, I think is really important.
Absolutely. In your opinion, what are the most important skills an employee can have?
I think that it really depends on the nature of the position and what it is that they're wanting to apply for, or what they're going after, because so many different positions require so many different skill sets. But I know that there's a few basic things that I think all companies really look at when they're wanting to bring someone on board. And one, I think people like to see relative experience to the job that they're applying. And another is consistency in work history or education, showing follow-through with things, and also having positive references that they can provide professionally or at school, and having those references is just another way to show, especially if they don't have a lot of work history, is another way to show that experience.
What about writing skills for a form of communication? Maybe it's not exactly what they do for the company as maybe a director of communications, but just emails and that kind of stuff. How important is writing?
I think it's extremely important because an employer knows that when you are applying for a job, or just when they're applying for a job, or actually having those skills for the position in general.
Just having the skills in general.
I think it's really essential. Because in any position with any company that you're working for, there's usually always communicating, writing is a really important part of the job. Whether you're communicating with coworkers or clients or customers, how you communicate with them and is a representation of your company, and so I think it's really important.
You mentioned earlier about work history, as it would be helpful in a resume. But what advice would you give to someone who is possibly transitioning to a new career field, or someone who lacked in work history, for example?
I would probably recommend volunteer work too, or internships. Anything in the particular industry that they're interested in, that they would like to apply for, having some, even volunteer experience is great. I met with a lady a few weeks ago who had been out of the workforce for a while, and she wanted to apply, or she wanted to get experience in a specific type of office setting, and so she went to the office and she said, I really don't want to lose my skills, and I'm really interested in this field. Can I volunteer so many hours a week just to help you guys out, and you don't have to pay me, it's volunteer work? And so she added that experience onto her resume, and so it's, I think that would be a good, or any kind of community service that people are involved in, or just groups in general, or things that show their activity or their commitment to something would be something good to add onto the resume.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.